Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, double honors to elders and apostles, a great millstone who teach this truth with sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Barak Thumb. So behind me is what once was Orchard Supply Hardware, showing you that the grinding is ceasing here in America, Babylon the Great, as I was already there as Shopko, which eventually will be a building just like this. Well, what do you think they're going to do with empty buildings like this? Well, you know what? Already during the Carr fire, they used the empty building of Kmart to turn that into a FEMA resistance center, pretty much for those that wanted to be relocated. FEMA conveniently relocated them, meaning that they put them in FEMA camps in the outskirts of Sacramento. That's where a lot of people had been moved to. But a lot of people did not take the FEMA handouts, which really were death sentences, because that's what they do. They kill people, you know, but they promise you things, you know, if you were the victim of a fire, you know. And like everything else, though, the stories about these wildfires doesn't make any sense, you know. Who ever heard of a fire just causing buildings to blow up but then leave the trees if it was supposed to be a wildfire to begin with? That doesn't make any sense. But you see, people are just blinded by this, you know, but then it's more than obvious. So this thing has been gone because Orchard Supply Hardware went out nationwide last year, you know, during that time period between Sears and Kmart shutdowns, as well as Toys R Us going out completely. But Orchard Supply Hardware, this store here, had been a part of Reading for a very long time, so it's gone, and it's been an empty building. So again, what do you think they're going to use the empty buildings for? And like everything else, though, you know that Esau is preparing the army after next. I know I sound like a broken record on this, but it's just more proof of the times that we're living in, you know. And they're planning an invasion of Venezuela, and now the EU is getting involved with that, the beast, you know, and pretty much so, you know, they're all divided, and they're coming against the whore Babylon the Great, but also against Amalek, because Saudi Arabia is Amalek, and these countries do not want to deal with Amalek anymore. They're sick of Saudi Arabia and the Israeli state. They don't want to deal with it anymore. The only one that's really wanting to deal with Saudi Arabia out there is Brexit, you know, the British, you know, if you will. You know, they're the only ones that really want to deal with it, while the rest of the countries, man, they don't want to deal with Saudi Arabia. You know, not since the death of the Khashoggi murder, you know, and then all the inhumanities against Yemen. So the only people that are really supporting a war on Yemen is Amalek and the whore Babylon the Great. And these other countries, you know, are tired of being little pawns in their scheme. So they're beginning to hate the whore. And utterly, though, the sanctions that Donald J. Trump keeps placing on them is making them turn more and more against them. You know, because America's busted, and they're just trying to tax everybody else, and in the process of doing so, are creating more enemies. So this is a empty parking lot, you know. Used to have grinding, used to have business there, and over to the other side, what now became a physical center, used to be McMahon's Furniture, which went out years ago, but at least the building's being occupied. And believe it or not, you know, I probably showed everyone last year, but in case you didn't know, Sears went out, and when it did, they demolished the building in all hopes of bringing in Home Foods. That parking lot and building is still demolished, and they haven't brought it in yet, you know, because the grinding is ceasing. So that store never came in, you know. It's still a demolished parking lot. It's all fenced off, and pretty much they haven't finished the project because, of course, the grinding is ceasing from Babylon the Great, you know. And why is that? Because, you know, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers are deliberately outsourcing everything, you know, and they're doing it on purpose to crash the economy because they want to bring in the one world government, and they want everybody to be chipped. And that's why, you know, you're seeing that the money system is pretty much, you know, being done away with. You know, they're deliberately doing that. And they're the same people that spoiled us, you know, that took away, you know, what once belonged to us, because this is really the land of Gad. If you want to get technical about it, this is the land of Gad, and to the south is Asher, Issachar, and all the other tribes. And so they had seized land, they had spoiled it, because the whole purpose that they went into Puerto Rico, which is the tribe of Ephraim, was to steal the gold. And they stole it. So I'm going to read out of Nahum chapter 2, starting verse 9. Take ye the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there is none in of the stone, and glory out of all pleasant furniture. So that's what they did. She is empty and void and waste, and her heart melteth, and knees smite together, and much pain is in all loins, and the faces of them all gather blackness. And what's that talking about? Well, that's talking about what's happening here. They pretty much spoiled all these places. They went and stole the resources, but now you're saying its resources are run out, because you know that Esau can't stay at home. No, he's got to go out and steal from everybody else. So pretty much what's happening, though, is that the Most High is smiting this place. Where is the dwelling place of the lions, and the feeding place of the young lions? Where the lion, even the old lion, walked, and the lion wept, and none made him afraid. The lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, and strangled for his loneliness, and filled his holes with prey, and his dens with ravin. And you can see that pretty much what is left here. This whole place is desolate, man. There's nothing to inhabit anymore. They pretty much they've run it down to the ground, and they did it on purpose to enslave everyone, to get everybody on them chips. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and I will burn her chariots in the smoke. And that's talking about them thermonuclear missiles and the fire coming from them chariots. And the sword shall devour thy young lions, and I will cut off thy prey from the earth, and the voice of thy messenger shall no more be heard. So eventually we, the prophets, won't even be here prophesying, because things are going to be happening, and more unexpected things, because the Most High is visiting this place. You just had a snowstorm here, and they still haven't cleaned up the brush. It's still filthy out here, because they won't clean up the brush, and a lot of people are still without power because PG&E won't go out there and restore their power, and this storm happened last week. So you would think that they would have made progress in this, but nah, man, there's brush everywhere. And that's just it, though, is nobody really wants to do anything about it. They just, they've fallen into depression. They're taking antidepressants. They're killing themselves. They're, doing more drugs, because, man, they have no hope whatsoever. Because America was the last hope. And they can see that this place is ceasing, because America is the modern day Nineveh, is the modern day Egypt, is the modern day Sodom, is pretty much going to be like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah. And in 1 hour, it's going to be destroyed, along with them thermonuclear missiles and the fire from the chariots, because it only took 2 chariots to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. That's how quick that was. But this whole golden city, America, Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed in 1 hour. And people think that this will never happen. They're pretty much in la la land. And there are those like Chris Green and Dabu7 who've been watching the Times, and put up videos about it. I mean, Chris Green's motive is to sell you stuff, but Dabu7, on the other hand, he's more in it to just make people aware of what's going on, pretty much he has, a live show he does every week called The Underground News. And, lately he's been trying to find another platform, because he knows that this YouTube platform is ceasing, and that means that eventually the prophets, we hear a great millstone, and the camps that are joined unto us, eventually we won't be here, because pretty much, our job will have been done, because what's going to happen is the famine of the word will come. Because Jacob's trouble is just right here around the corner, especially now that they're doing exposés on us on the mainstream, and have been doing them, because they came at us with No Class Malone. They came at us with all these other Amalekites and Edomites, trying to disperse our movement, which they try to throw the label Black Hebrew Israelites, but we've dissolved that one, And that's another thing, I put up a video last year called Am I a Black Hebrew Israelite? In response to Apostle Gabar, and now ISUPK, because that's who it is that's doing it, decides that they want to comment on that old video a year later. You know, they didn't comment on it last year, but now they want to make all their comments. And you know what you got to do with things like that. You know, we're not here to debate with ISUPK. We already know about ISUPK. You know, they their leader is a sodomite. Okay, so he's going to tell you it's okay to sodomize a woman. Still, okay, he may not be promoting a man with another man, but he's promoting sodomy nonetheless. So he's a sodomite. You know, pretty much. You listen to him, you follow him, then you are a sodomite at heart, and you will be destroyed like a sodomite. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, just keep on doing what you're doing. And I know that ISUPK hates confusion of faces, so does IUIC and many of them other groups, because of the fact that the word of prophecy is in our mouth, and we're coming out here and we're teaching, despite what we look like, standing in their faces and being on the street corners, and they won't even come out during the winter, you know. So who's the $5 Israelite? Let's just see. Is it the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge? Is it Great Millstone? Who are the $5 Israelites? Well, you know, you wouldn't even spend $5 to just get yourself a, you know, a small little 12 tribe sign and go out and teach alone. I've never seen ISUPK one man camp at all. No, man, they don't go out and teach. They just hang out on the comment board and they make their jokes, you know. But the joke's going to be on them, especially the fact that they love to quote Isaiah chapter 29, verse 22. Well, the curse be unto them, because how do you explain IUIC, one of their members, has now gotten leprosy? You see the spots all over his arms, you know, so that should be a wake-up call to y'all that scoff at the confusion of faces. But again, you're more scoffing at the angels who brought the Ruach HaKodesh unto us, you know, to begin with. You know, we came out of our sleep. You know, we got away from Christianity. We turned away from the things that we were taught. And then when we learned enough, we came out here and we taught. What is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge doing? Now, they sit at home at winter and they have a good old time and they sodomize their wives and spread disease. That's what they're doing. So, because that's what their leader promotes. You know, you are what your leader promotes if you follow and back your leader, because they say there's no other leader but Yohana, and that's what Yohana teaches. Also, you know, you don't teach that the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. I don't see any other camps teaching the truth about that. And so you're going to tell them it's okay to take the chip, and then they're going to go take the chip, and they have the mark of the beast, but you told them it was Christianity. You told them that it was other philosophies is the mark of the beast. So you're setting them people up for destruction. And I know that's all a part of the 2/3, and that, you know, they were turned away long ago, and that they were meant for the day of destruction. But like everything else, though, you know, the grinding is ceasing here in Babylon the Great. And this is just another example of what's happened since Orchard Supply Hardware has closed down, you know. And eventually I'll be looking at Shopko this way too. For that, I want to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Ruach HaKodesh, Barak death to America, and death to you 2/3.